Good morning, class. Once again, we are back with our chapter number 3, Geography, Minerals and Power Resources. In our previous class, we have already covered with minerals. We have started with power resources, and in power resources, we have already completed one part of it, that is conventional sources of energy. So today we'll start with non-conventional sources of energy. Okay. Now let's see what are non-conventional sources of energy. Non-conventional sources of energy simply means that energy which will never get exhausted, never will not get over, which can be reused and always is being remade. Okay. So that is non-conventional source of energy. So the increasing use of fossil fuels is leading to its shortage. So we are using a lot of fossil fuels, hence it is leading to its shortage, and it's estimated that the present rate of consumption continues, the reserves of this fuel would get exhausted. So moreover, this use also causes environmental pollution. Therefore, there is need for using non-conventional sources such as solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, which are renewable. So that means what? So basically we are using this conventional source of energy so much that it is soon to be get exhausted. So we need something that will not pollute and which can be used again and again, which is renewable. So that is why we have got these options of non-conventional sources of energy, which are solar energy, wind energy and tidal energy. So these are non-conventional sources of energies. Now let's see what is solar energy. Sun's heat and light energy can be felt by us every day. Yes, solar energy is trapped from the sun, which can be used in solar cells to produce electricity. So this energy from the sun is utilized and stored in solar cells, and this solar cells produce electricity. So many of these cells are joined in solar panels to generate electricity. Okay, so you can see here, these are the solar panels. These are used for trapping the solar energy, sun's heat inside it, and make electricity. So the power for heating and lighting purpose, solar energy being used. So please underline that the technology of utilizing solar energy benefits a lot of tropical countries that are blessed with abundant sunshine. So the countries which are in the tropical zones where you can get majority part of sunlight, those countries are being very much benefited. Solar energy is also used in solar heaters, solar cookers, solar dryers, besides being used for community lighting and traffic signals. So these are the uses of solar energy. Please underline all of them. Before that, you can see this entire chart, flow chart of wind energy, its advantages, disadvantages, solar energy, tidal energy, nuclear energy, biogas and geothermal energy. I want you to draw this entire flow chart in your notebook. Non-conventional sources of energy, this entirely in your notebook, neatly and tidily. You can draw it horizontally, vertically, as soever you want. Okay, no need to ask me. Okay, so you just draw it neatly. The diagram has to be neat and tight. That is our sole aim. Okay, understood? Please draw it. Figure 3.14. Now the next energy we have is wind energy. Let's see, wind is an inexhaustible source of energy. That means it will never get over. So windmills have been used for grinding grain and lifting water since times immemorial. So since longer period of time we have been using wind energy for grinding the grains and for lifting the water. But in modern time, windmills, the high speed winds rotate the windmill which is connected to a generator to produce electricity. So in modern days we are using windmills for producing electricity. So wind farms having clusters of such windmills are located in coastal regions and in mountain passes where strong and steady winds blow. So where these windmills are being exactly located, and there is the regions near the coastal regions and near the mount passes, because it is where the wind is flowing at a very high speed required for this movement of windmills, so that wind energy is being produced. So which are the places where we get windmills? See here, wind farms are in Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, UK, USA and Spain. They are very much noted for the wind energy production. Okay, please underline these names. The next one we have is nuclear power plants, nuclear power stations. So the nuclear power is obtained from energy stored in the nuclei of atoms of naturally occurring radioactive elements like uranium and thorium. So these are the two elements where uranium and thorium, these two elements are being used to produce nuclear powers. So they are actually radioactive elements. They occur naturally. These elements have got nuclei of atoms in it. So they occur radioactive things. These fuels undergo nuclear fission in nuclear reactors. So that means this both uranium and thorium together go under fission. Now what do you mean by fission? Fission means they are getting double at rate. That means if 2 are there, from 2 it will become 4, 4 say 8, 8 say 16. So this is continuously increasing. Nuclear fission is going on when they are put in the nuclear reactors, and due to this reactions, due to this reactors, this fission, their energy is increasing, and this energy gives us the nuclear power plants. Okay, understood? So the greatest producers of nuclear power is in USA and Europe. Even in India we have got nuclear power stations in Rajasthan and Jharkhand, because they have lot of uranium deposits there, and thorium is found in large quantities in the monzite sands of Kerala. So from these two places they are being brought, and the nuclear power stations in India are located at Kalpakam in Tamil Nadu, Tarapur in Maharashtra, Rana Pratap Sagar near Kota in Rajasthan, and Narora in Uttar Pradesh and Kaiga in Karnataka. So from Rajasthan and Kerala, this uranium and thorium is being borrowed and this supplied to these power stations. Okay, so please underline all of these names, they are very important. The next non-conventional energy we have is geothermal energy. So the heat obtained from the earth is called geothermal energy. It's a very natural process. Under the earth you get this geothermal energy. So the temperature in the interior of the earth rises steadily as we go deeper. We all know the deeper inside the earth we move, the temperature of the earth is getting increasing. So sometimes this heat energy may rise to the surface itself in the form of hot springs. So sometimes from inside the water comes out as hot springs. So this heat energy can be used to generate power. Even this energy is utilized to make power. You can see this diagram. There is a heat from the fissions. Nuclear reactor, the hot water is being passed through it, and through it steam is being taken out and moved to the turbine. So this turbine works from this steam, and from this turbine it is generating electricity. You can see this diagram. Yes, no need to draw this diagram. Okay, if you wish you can do it as for your own purpose, but I am not forcing you to draw it. It's a little difficult. Now let's see where do we find this geothermal energies. The geothermal energy in the form of hot springs has been used for cooking, heating and bathing for several years. USA has the world's largest geothermal power plants, followed by New Zealand, Iceland, Philippines and Central America. In India, geothermal plants are located in Manikaran in Himachal Pradesh and Pugga Valley in Ladakh. So this places names you need to remember. Okay. So you can see here geothermal energy here, natural cracks are there, steams are coming, well water, turbine and generator. The above thing which we have seen was nuclear energy, remember that, okay. And this is known as geothermal energy. Now let's see here tidal energy. Now let's see first, do you know the first tidal energy station was built in France, remember that. Okay, now the tidal energy. What do we actually call it as tide? You know what it is? Tides. We have high tides and low tides in our oceans and seas, water surfaces. Okay. When does this tides occurs? I believe you have learnt in your 7th standard occurring of tides. Yes, still, but short recap is tides is when the sun, earth and the moon all comes in one single line, are in the same position. Okay, so even the sun is exerting pressure on the earth, and from the other side the moon is exerting pressure on the earth. Due to this pressure, there is a changes in the water surface, which gives us high tide and low tide. Okay, so let's see the tidal energy. The energy generated from tides is called tidal energy. The tidal energy can be harnessed by building dams at narrow openings of the sea. So that is what they do is they make this type of dams near the openings of the narrow openings of the oceans or seas. Okay, so from there what they do is when there is a tide, high tide is water is inserting, low tide mein andar inserting, and then high tide mein this is generated. The turbine moves and the electricity is being produced. Please remember this. Okay, this is what the diagram is. And remember that low tidal energy is used to produce electricity. We are reading here as high tide entire paragraph, but remember electricity is only produced when there is a low tide, not when there is a high tide. The question may come and you might get confused, so please remember it. So during high tide, the energy of the tides is used to turn the turbines installed in the dam to produce electricity. So which are the places we have? The countries Russia, France and the Gulf of Kutch in India have huge high tidal mill farms. Okay. The next one we have is biogas. I believe biogas many of you have seen in your villages. Okay. What is biogas? It is actually a very organic power plant which uses dead plants and animals waste, animal dung into it, and produces a fuel, that is biofuel or a biogas. You can see this diagram here. The slurry, that means the whatever we insert, there's a gas tank, manure, fertilizer, outlet is what. Let's see. I want you to draw this biogas plant in your notebook. Please remember it. Figure 3.21. Need to draw it in your notebook. Okay. The biogas plant, an organic waste such as dead plant and animal material, animal dung and kitchen waste can be converted into gaseous fuel called biogas. Please underline the first line. The organic waste is decomposed by bacteria in a biogas digesters to emit biogas, which is essentially a mixture of methane and carbon dioxide. So when you put this dead plants, animal waste, kitchen waste inside your gas tank, and it starts decomposing by the bacteria inside it, and this decomposition emits out a gas, that is methane and carbon dioxide, that comes out. So methane is produced there. Methane is a very clean gas. It does not give out any type of pollution. So biogas is an excellent fuel for cooking and lighting and produces huge amount of organic manure each year. So manure is good for plants. So it is two-way. That means you can also get gas for your cooking purpose and also a fertilizer, good amount of fertilizer for your crops. So energy is everywhere, but we can see that harnessing this energy is both difficult as well as costly. So each one of us can make a difference by not wasting energy. Energy is saved is energy generated. Act now and make brighter an energy future. So energy is everywhere, you can see, but it is difficult to produce them as well as costly. So the best way to utilize them is by not wasting them. So that is energy. When we are saving, that means we are generating it. So let's act now and make our energy future brighter. So that completes our entire chapter. Now let's move to the exercise questions. You have first question ka 4th and 5th question you need to write. First one, question number 1, 4th and 5th. Question number 2, third one. Question number 3 is question number 3 ka 2nd and 4th one. Distinguish between is biogas and natural gas, question number 4th. So that completes our chapter. Okay, I hope you have understood the chapter well. Any doubts, please let me know. Okay, rest, please complete your notebooks on time. Till then, thank you class.